Hey guys, how you doing today? Today we're going to talk a little bit about some of the behind the scenes of editing interviews. We're talking about our next assignment, which is interviewing a subject with B-roll. What I'm about to show you was a project that we did a couple of years ago involving MCC students, professional mentors, and a project that they did for the Habitat for Humanity Restore called the Designers Challenge. And it was pretty fun to do. I'm going to mute this because I can hear it and you cannot. All right, so we interviewed, I think, 5 or 6 people. That meant because I use a dual editing system, the dual audio capture system, then we had audio for 5 or 6 people. And so this is, I'll go back to my number one thing you always want to think about: stay organized in your folders, stay organized in your sequence in Premiere. So let's see here. Let's see if I can find this. It was Designers Challenge, okay? So this is my Designer Challenge main folder, and I've got my folders: audio, compile. Compile is the finished products. This was back when I was still putting my project files in the compile folder. Now I make a separate one that says project files. Graphics, had a bunch of graphics, had a bunch of lower thirds, some logos. Here's the interview footage. Music, ones we didn't use. Here's some stills for ID purposes because we had to tell who designed what in this display they had out at Westroads. And then here's B-roll video that wasn't necessarily all captured for this project, or with this project it may have been some that we had archived. So Elkhorn Valley students doing B-roll stuff in the design classes, the Restore, which is the Habitat for Humanity store that we went to, got B-roll, and then the Westroads. These are how the displays looked out at Westroads. So that's just the raw footage from the B-roll that we had. So in order to keep it organized, that's how I did it. All right, so then when I open Premiere, you'll see a similar organizational structure. We got the audio, we got the Design Lab students, graphics, we have all the interviews here, the music, the Restore B-roll, the Westroads B-roll, and then I've got my 2 sequences. One is the Designer's Challenge, which that would have been the finished sequence, and then one that's just interviews. So let's start with that. So when I have multiple interviews for a project, I put them on their own timeline or their own sequence. And it's going to look something like this. So I'll zoom out a little bit. So this is everybody together. I did that for this project. There have been times when I give everyone their own sequence, and that might be more helpful. These were fairly short interviews. So I'm going to pull the, let's see here. I'm going to pull the footage in first. So pretend this is all. Let's do it this way. I'll start a new sequence. All right, and we'll call it Nancy Stevenson. She was one of our first interviews. She's the director of the program. All right, so we're going to go to interviews, and we're going to find Nancy. That's not Nancy. Here she is. Is that her only clip? Let's see. Looks like it might be. It's about a 5-minute clip. Yep, that's probably it. Okay. Then I'm going to go to my audio. So this was recorded separately with, you can't really see it, but she has a lavalier microphone on, and we recorded that to the Zoom, and I pre-marked which audio file is hers, and I'll pull that onto the timeline. All right. Then here's how I sync this is how I sync the two files. So I'm going to select both of them. I'm going to right click and then scroll down until I see synchronize and just hit OK. We should have it clapped and made a bump in both waveforms, both from the video and the audio. There you go. So it automatically puts it all together. And then when I zoom in, we can make this a little wider. You can see that it does match up. The waveforms match up. And if you were able to hear it, here's the clap right here. Right there. You can see my hands in the frame. All right? So, but I'm not quite done yet. All right? So what I'll do then is I don't tend to keep the in-camera audio. It's just like another layer that I don't need. So I'm going to put my playhead right here. I'm going to get my razor tool and cut that so they line up perfectly. And I might need to blow it up a little bit. It looks like it's pretty good. All right. So then I lock this track. I select the in-camera audio and I just hit delete. Take this, slide it straight up. All right. So at this point, if I didn't do anything else, when I try to move this, it will not take the audio with it. But if I do this, if I select them both, all right, and then I right click again, link, right? Then when I move this, they move together. You can also, I think if you select it and just hit, let's see, is it Command L? Nope, is it just L? I know you can't hear this, but I can. All right, so I just unlinked it. So select, and I believe it's Command L. We'll link it, yeah. Okay, so that's a little bit easier than trying to, do this whole rigmarole. Command L will link them together. Then when you cut it, you find your sound bite that you want. When you try and select this, like Command C to copy it, and maybe Command V to drop it into your timeline. Oh, there we go. I've got this video 6 selected because I've got so many layers in this thing. So if you want it to automatically drop into the one position, that you've got to select those. Anyway, I can, I don't have to worry about these coming unlinked and maybe unsyncing my audio. All right, so that's one part of the interview process. I'm going to take a break here and let's talk a little bit about all these markers that you see on the timeline.